Hello, everyone, and thank you, Chris, and thank you, Claudia, for the very inspiring speeches. Um, I want to jump into current reality, what's going on. As we all know, this is a very hard battle that we fight, the battle for the animals, the battle to change the food system, the battle to change the world and put it on a wise path as opposed to a self-destructive path. And um, what's happening is that there are many bad news. Bad news is climate change is marching at speed that is faster than we imagine. Even the worst projections are surpassed by reality. And the number of animals that are exploited and killed again is increasing and increasing and increasing. It doesn't seem to stop and doesn't seem to slow down. And this is the reality we live in because we are fighting against a system that is based on enormous economic gains. This entire system of destruction of the planet and exploitation of animals makes a lot of money. And this money, mind you, doesn't come from the fact that this business makes sense. Without public subsidies, the entire industry of animal exploitation would be bankrupt because it's not sustainable, even economically, even in the worst ways it manifests itself. It doesn't work. But these industries have learned a long time ago the power of lobbying and the power of obtaining public subsidies to the sound of hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of billions a year, which they use in part to support their failing economic models, and in part, of course, to corrupt the political system, which is the only way that they can keep control over what is happening. And so it's no surprise that you have regulations popping up in different countries that prohibit the use of the word milk if you're describing coconut milk, or or other regulations against cultivated meat and other things that just don't make sense and are obviously only driven by corruption and lobbying done with our money, with taxpayers' money. Now, these guys receive public subsidies and use a part to corrupt the system so they can keep getting these subsidies. So for the bad news, we're fighting a mighty enemy, gigantic enemy that is very, very hard to defeat and that is not ready to give up. They don't care about anything. Of course, they don't care about the animals, but they don't care about humanity. They don't care about the planet. They don't care about public safety. They don't care about anything except their gain. So the title of my speech is "Business as Usual" is not going to work because obviously it's an emergency, and we have to figure out how to address the emergency. And I always strongly believe that we can come together and of course implement change if we march in one direction with one mind, but we also can contribute on an individual basis. And I guess this is the issue that many of us have, the idea of feeling lost in front of the complexity of the problems and the challenges that we face, the enemies that we face, which are mighty powerful, and with so much money to use against us and our ideas that we obviously feel powerless. But there are very positive signs despite the energies that they put in their effort. So, for instance, it is clear from every possible data that you read that more and more people are eating less animal-based products and are eating more plant-based products, vegan products. This is a trend worldwide. Of course, much more visible in developed countries and less in economies that are less developed and so forth. But the point is that despite their efforts, consumption of animal-free products keeps improving, keeps growing. And we can see this. There are certain countries where you see what is going to happen in the others, like the experimental countries. But it is clear from data that we read that more and more large food corporations, traditional ones, and distribution companies are going towards plant-based more and more. So the range of products is growing and growing. The availability of the products is growing. And the consumption of these products, even by people who do not consciously choose a plant-based diet, is improving, keeps improving. And this is a great sign, because on another side, this sick industry of animal exploitation and animal-based food production, as I was saying, would be bankrupt tomorrow without public subsidies. But it's doing really bad anyway. Just look at what happened with eggs in the US. They're now buying eggs from Europe. Are you kidding me? It's just because of avian flu. And then the price of meat is growing at such a pace that they can't keep up. They can't possibly sell it because the farmers, the few farmers that are left, are not making any money. But even industrially produced meat is so expensive now that people are buying less and less and less and consuming less and less and less. The clear exception is China, where other dynamics are in place. But the good news is their system is so faulty, it's so bad, it's so defective, and so economically unsustainable that they face trouble everywhere. Now, where's the key to win the battle, or at least to gain make some progress and go towards our direction? And here's where individual effort becomes very important. We know as a fact that information is the most important factor. When people know that not eating animal-based products is healthier, they make the choice. That's a number one factor that why people choose a different diet. And of course, you're familiar as I am with all the counter information that they're pushing against this, saying that vegan food is hyper-processed, unhealthy, this and that, all the lies that they come up with and spread, spending millions and millions in campaigns. But what we can do is distribute and spread information. Word of mouth is very important, but there are a couple of factors that are even more important that we can pursue on an individual basis. And I'm sorry, I'm not talking about, the most complex world systems, and I'm talking about individuals, because I think that we all feel scared and frustrated where we are because we don't see enough progress. We never see enough progress from our point of view. But we can really implement change if we make efforts. So one fundamental rule that I've always followed is support the organizations that do undercover investigations. The more the general public sees the horrors of animal farming and the animal-based food industry, the more they will stay away from those products. It is incredible to find out how many people don't know the horrors, but when they're exposed to them, they change, they switch, they shift their diet towards a more, of course, compassionate and humane system. And so there are phenomenal organizations like Animal Equality, Animal Outlook, and others that for years have done undercover investigations and brought the information that we can spread and share. And this is the number one thing we have to do every day. Every day we have to share. what we know and other people don't. Then there are very small gestures that make a big difference. Um, if you go to the supermarket, always make sure that they have vegan products on the shelves. Because maybe you don't know, the industry is paying supermarkets in the US not to restock the shelves of plant-based products. That's a typical thing that they do. And so by public request, of course, those products are going to be more available and always available. And so that's something that we can all do every day. Just go, whenever you walk in front of a supermarket, go in and ask, why don't you have this? Why don't you have that? Why is that on the shelves? And it's incredible the difference that it makes. And then another thing is what we can avoid doing. And this, with all due respect, is to the organizations that do it, is the counterproductive demonstrations and interventions, like people going inside the supermarket and yelling in front of the butcher counter that they're assassins and this meat is murder and blah, blah, blah. Guess what? Statistically speaking, you're going to get more people to the other side than to ours. So that is a stupid thing to do. That should not be done. We, no matter how urgent we feel that our point of view is, we need to be gentle in proposing our ideas. Otherwise, we lose followers. We actually create support for the other side. You know, people going inside the butcher shop and yelling, hey, you're a killer. Yes, of course they're killers, but you're not going to help anyone by screaming and yelling at the butcher. It's not going to save any animals. And so one trend that we have seen, which is at the same time a bad sign and a good sign, is many of the vegan brands are not doing so well. That's unfortunate, but it's because the big food brands in the supermarkets are picking up the example and producing their own products that, you know, substituting the ones from the vegan brands and providing their own alternatives. And these are growing like crazy. Examples in Switzerland and Germany and the UK and Scandinavia are incredible. You see a multiplication of new products and big brands actually making money by selling what people actually want to buy, because people are buying more and more and more of these products. And the more they are available, the more variety there is, the better the quality, the more they will buy. It is a natural choice that people make because there is a shift from eating meat and animal-based products to not doing it. So the message that I want to leave you with is it's a hard battle, but we can win it. And that requires effort on an individual basis. The more information you spread, the more you act directly in the field to promote our point of view, our products, and to support our ideas, the better. And the gentler you are, the better in proposing these ideas. We can still win. It's a hard battle, but it's worth fighting on an individual basis every day. Everyone's effort is fundamental and useful and contributes to the change. Don't be frustrated by the horrors you see. Be encouraged by the fact that we are in a subtle battle. We are winning. And that's my main message.